We must face ourselves and our unconscious thoughts to bring forth our dreams. Danny Riegel says.
Hey guys, it's your girl, Danny Riegel, and I'm back with another Danny Riegel Chair Chat. You don't see my chair because it's in the living room, but you see me, so you know what that means. Let's get started. I was inspired to talk about this because literally just the other day, a friend of mine tagged me in a video that I made about 3 years ago, and literally when I say you guys, God brought back all of these memories to me of the goals that I had at that time, the dreams that I had, and some dreams that I let go of or I just lost focus of. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of got a little bit emotional. I was a little choked up and I was just like, how could I let this happen? You know what I mean? And I was just saying, he also reminds me how I was at that time and how I got to the point where I started to lose focus. And it was because I was looking for confirmation from other people. When God had already confirmed something to me, I was seeking confirmation. I wanted to talk to you guys about that because the prayer is and the goal is that we get back to the point where God's confirmation is good. Let me tell you what the issue is when we do seek confirmation from other people. The issue is that we then contaminate the vision that God has given us because we are inviting almost negative energy sometimes from people who don't see, or can't understand the plan that God has for you, the calling that God has over your life. And then we allow people to transfer their doubt onto us, as well as nurture the seeds of doubt they plant inside of us. So those are some of the negative things that come about when we sometimes seek additional confirmation from people when God has already given us that full confirmation. Okay, so I want to talk from 1 Samuel, a story that is popular, and I love the story of David and Goliath for the simple reason that it's so easy for us to mold ourselves in our current lives into the story of David and Goliath. And David was the youngest. David was smaller than Goliath. Goliath was like 10 times bigger than, David. And then as Goliath is described in the Bible, he's walking around yelling and he, talking down to people and, he already has his armor on and he has his sharp knife at his side. So he's already intimidating to people. And, he looks more intimidating because not just because of his size, but because of how he's presenting himself. And he's just seeming like almost untouchable. And again, David is the youngest, but he's the one that has this faith. You know what I'm saying? He has this faith. And the Israelites and Saul, all they did was hear the Philistines say what they were going to do, and they was just terrified. Like the Bible says they grew terrified. And I was just like, dang, like y'all ain't even try. You know what I'm saying? And how many of us know that we do that? Like we don't even try. We just like, you want me to do that, God? Do you see how big Goliath is? Do you see how big? I got to do all of that? No. Not me, Jesus. David, no, you shouldn't do it. That's what Saul said to David. He said, no, you're the smallest, you're the youngest. And David was like, bruh, nah, see God, when I was in a fight with the lion and the bear, God was there. So the same God that did that is the same God that's going to get me through this. And he took his little rocks and he went to town, okay? But see, when you have that kind of faith in God, when you allow God to be your confirmation, see, in this situation with David and Goliath, God didn't have to confirm to David in the sense like, David, you can do this. This is what I want you to do. God was David's confirmation because of previous things that God has done for him, okay? And sometimes we have to understand that sometimes God doesn't have to continuously say, you can do this, you should do this, you should do this, you're able, I'm here with you. Like, when God already shows us, we have to grow. That's when our faith has to grow, and we have to understand that if God did it before, he'll do it again, and that confirmation needs to be enough. Now just imagine, because we see how scared Saul and the Israelites were. Just imagine if David, said, Saul, or, you guys, I know God saved me when I was attacking that lion, when the lion attacked me, and when that bear came after me, but do you think that you think he'll do the same thing? You think I can fight Goliath? You know, what do you guys think? And, you know, the first thing that Saul said to David when David told him he was going to do it, Saul was like, no, you know what I mean? Because he didn't feel like he can do it. He was inflicting his own fears onto him. Now imagine if David didn't have strong faith and he was actually looking for that confirmation from somebody else, or somebody else to affirm something different from what he already felt. Imagine, then they would have lost, you know what I mean? They would have lost the battle. But David did not. He allowed the confirmation of God to settle and be good enough, and he went and he defeated the giant. And he didn't have to fit the characteristics of what people thought would win. And I want to talk about that because, you know, the scripture continuously points out that David is the youngest and that he's small. And first and foremost, because he was the youngest, I guess it's safe to say that, you know, he's probably the least experienced, but he was still called, right? And then because he was the smallest, you know, and he didn't even, when he fought Goliath, Saul tried to put him in all this armor, and David was like, nah, I don't need all of this. Just give me my little bag of rocks and we good. I got Jesus, you know what I'm saying? And because he still was called, you know what I mean? And I'm saying that because sometimes I feel like we believe that when God calls us to do something, sometimes we feel like we cheat ourselves and we eliminate ourselves from what God is telling us we can do because we don't fit the characteristics of what we think should be able to do the task at hand. See, David didn't look like anything that could be able to, you know, beat something as big as Goliath, but he did. And he did not because of how he looked, not because of his size, but because of his faith, the size of his faith, and because he was determined, and because he trusted God, and he let God confirm to him. So that's what I wanted to point out to you guys. So, you know, when God confirms something to you, let that be enough. All right, so now I want to go to another familiar story. I love this story as well, but I love it because you can look at it from so many different ways and you can break it down, and the Lord really, you know, allows different people to look at it from different points. And I just want to use it for this one point, and this is the story when Jesus walks on water. Now, I want to say it from this way, like, you know, when Jesus gives us a task, we have to have the courage to take the first step, okay? So when Peter said, you know, no, they were like, oh no, it looks like a ghost. You know, Peter was like, well, if you're God, then tell me to walk on water. And all God said was come. Now that was Peter's task, to come. Now, I want to focus on the fact that Peter had to have enough faith in God to come, and he had to have faith in himself to take the first step. And I think that's so important because when God gives us confirmation to do something and God gives us a task, that we have to also understand that we have to have enough faith to take the first step, even if we don't know what's going to happen. Now, given we know that the rest of the story, which we can also all relate to in some sort of way, the rest of the story follows that, you know, Peter then becomes distracted by the wind and begins to sink. And I want to talk about that a little bit because when I read that, I kind of think of his distraction as a self-imposed distraction. I call it that because I feel like because we see in the word that the wind was already blowing, you know, and it clearly states that, you know, Peter took a step, but when he saw the wind blowing, the wind was already blowing when Jesus said come, and he took the step. But the thing about it, Peter was focused on God in the task. See, that's what happens when God confirms something for us and we get to going and we're focused on God and we're like, okay, I'm going to see what this is about. We impose distractions on ourselves by things that were already there, and God was already there helping us through it. You know, Peter was already walking on the water. He already took a step, and Jesus was right there with him the whole time. And Jesus in that moment said, I am, come. So God, when God says I am, we can attach any adjective, anything, anything after, any word after the statement I am. And actually, I am is just everything. So anything powerful we can attach, we can put a hashtag and attach it after that, because that's who God is. And in that moment, Jesus was everything that Peter needed him to be. But we are sometimes like Peter. Instead of focusing on God and the task that he gives us, and that God is everything that we need, we have self-inflicted distractions. The wind was already there. The distractions were already there. But we have to choose to, focus on them. So I want to make the point is that we have to have enough faith to trust God, enough faith in ourselves to take the first step, and enough faith to keep stepping. Okay, so we gotta have faith like David. Okay, and we also have to have courage like Peter, because even though he didn't know, he still took the step. And a lot of times when God confirms stuff to us, and gives us a task, we don't even want to take the step. See, eventually God had to save Peter again and said, "You have such little faith." And I bet you Peter wanted to do it all over again. But how many of us want to do it again sometimes when God is like, "Again, sis? Again, bro? Like, we've been through this. You know what's going to happen. I got you, right? Okay." And we keep going through the same thing. So, when God confers something to you, have enough courage to take the first step. Because imagine if if Peter was like, "No, that's a ghost. I ain't messing with it," then he would have had no faith. Now, God didn't say that Peter didn't have any faith. God said, God gives us such little faith. God says come, or God says go, and God tells you what to do. That's what you have to have enough faith to take that step. And another thing that I want to say from this story, because this is what's different from us. See, in this story, Peter was just unsure if it was Jesus, and he was kind of like, "Well, if you're Jesus, then this is how you should let me know." But for us, it's not going to always wait that like Jesus is not, we're not going to be able to just see, yup, that's God. Okay, walk straight. This is what the figure is like. It's not going to always be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes God is going to give us a task, a vision, or a goal, and that's all he's going to give us. You know what I mean? And that's it. And it's not going to always be take a left, take a right, go straight. It's not going to always be that Cupid shuffle, and left foot, stomp. And right foot, stop. It's not going to always be an electric slide type of thing. So we just going to have faith to trust God, and we have to consult with God. We have to spend time with him. We have to pray. We have to read the word. We have to read his word to understand where he's guiding us, and understand that if he's confirmed something for us to do, that we have it inside of us to do it, and that if we can't do it, that we can lean on him, because God is the great I am. This is another thing when God's confirming your vision, your goal, something for you to move. Okay, God's confirmation moves us into action. That's what you got to understand. God's confirmation moves us into action, because his confirmation is all the truth that we need. Now, I love the fact that his word says God goes before us, which means that God knows everything that's going to happen already. Like, if he tells you to do something, to open a business, to go to school, to go back to school, to buy that car, to move to Africa, whatever he tells you to do, anything that he gives you to do, he's already been there, because he's gone before us. You know what I mean? He's a provisioner. He's going to prepare us for anything. So when life throws punches at you, God is telling you where to duck. You know what I mean? Like, he is preparing everything for us. So with that being said, is sometimes we have to really stop trying to figure out the complete plan and just trust God. Although we may seem blinded by things, God is not going to lead us blind, because he is the light to our feet. Sometimes things are not meant for us to see visually first. We just have to trust God and watch where he's taking us, watch where he's leading us. And that has to be good enough for us, because ultimately God is using us for the upbuilding of the kingdom and to bring glory to his name. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly hope that you were blessed. Leave your comments down below, like this video, and subscribe. And make sure you follow me on my social media platforms listed below. And as always, there's only one of me and one of you. So be the best version of yourself and be regal. Later.